always considered myself an ordinary person, someone who follows the rules and lives a life free of complications. But that changed the day I stumbled upon evidence of something horrifying, buried deep within the bowels of the government. My name is unimportant, but my story is a warning. Pay attention, for this might save your life. It began innocently enough. I worked as a data analyst for a government contractor. My job was to sift through mountains of digital information, looking for patterns and anomalies. One day, I received a set of encrypted files by mistake, meant for someone with much higher clearance. Protocol dictated that I should have reported it immediately, but curiosity got the better of me. It took hours to crack the encryption. When I finally accessed the files, what I found made my blood run cold. They detailed a project named Project Blackout, a covert operation involving human experimentation. The documents were filled with technical jargon, but the essence was clear. They were testing a new form of mind control. Subjects were taken from prisons, psychiatric hospitals, and the homeless population, people who wouldn't be missed. My hands shook as I scrolled through the files. Diagrams showed implants being inserted into the subjects' brains, and reports detailed the effects: memory erasure, personality suppression, and complete obedience. One file stood out, a report marked Test Subject 47. This person had shown unexpected resistance to the procedure, leading to violent outbursts and severe psychological trauma. The final entry stated simply, "Terminated." I knew I should have stopped there, but I couldn't. I dug deeper, finding records of a facility hidden in the mountains, referred to only as the Hub. It was a place where these experiments were conducted, far from prying eyes. Maps and blueprints revealed a sprawling underground complex with high security and even higher secrecy. That night, I couldn't sleep. The faces of the test subjects haunted me, their hollow eyes staring back from the photographs in the files. I decided I had to do something to expose the truth. I copied everything onto a flash drive, planning to contact a journalist I knew. But the moment I left my apartment, I realized I was being watched. It started with subtle signs. A black SUV parked outside my building, the same man in different locations following me. My phone was tapped, my emails monitored. I was being hunted. Panic set in, and I knew I had to disappear. I left everything behind, taking only the flash drive and some cash. I drove for hours, changing directions frequently, until I reached a small town where I rented a room under a false name. For weeks, I stayed hidden, only going out for necessities. But one night, as I was returning to my room, I noticed the door slightly ajar. My heart raced. I stepped inside, and there, in the dim light, stood a figure dressed in black, holding my flash drive. "You shouldn't have seen that," he said, his voice cold and detached. "But now that you have, we need to talk." I lunged at him, but he was faster, knocking me to the ground. As I lay there dazed, he injected something into my neck. Darkness swallowed me. I woke up in a room that looked like a hospital, strapped to a bed. Monitors beeped around me, and a man in a lab coat stood nearby, observing me with clinical detachment. "You're quite the troublemaker," he said, checking my restraints. "Project Blackout must remain a secret. You know too much, but we have ways of dealing with that." Days turned into a blur of pain and confusion. They drugged me, interrogated me, tried to break me. They wanted to know who else I'd told, but I hadn't contacted anyone yet. I held on to that hope, the belief that I could still expose them. One night, during a routine check, I noticed a pattern in the guards' behavior. Every few hours, there was a window of a few minutes when I was left alone. Using a piece of metal I'd pried from the bed frame, I managed to pick the lock on my restraints. It took days of painstaking effort, but finally, I was free. I waited for the right moment, heart pounding in my chest. When the guard left for his break, I slipped out, moving silently through the corridors. I found a security room and managed to disable the cameras. Using a stolen key card, I navigated the labyrinthine facility, finding my way to an exit. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but there was no time to relish freedom. I ran, not stopping until I reached a small town miles away. I contacted the journalist, using a payphone to avoid detection. We arranged to meet in a secluded location. When I handed over the flash drive, I felt a glimmer of hope, but I knew they wouldn't stop hunting me. As the story broke, detailing the horrors of Project Blackout, I became a ghost, constantly on the move, changing identities and staying one step ahead of those who wanted me silenced. If you're reading this, know that the government hides monstrous secrets, and the people involved will stop at nothing to protect them. Trust no one, and if you stumble upon something you shouldn't, be prepared to run. I live in the shadows now, but at least I know the truth is out there.